What happens when you limit yourself to just complementary colors and let go of painting realistically? Sometimes the fastest way to make color feel exciting is just to use less of it. Today we'll be painting expressive, nature-inspired animals using only complementary colors and mixed media. First, I want to share this painting with you that I did of a leopard, and then it has nature-based elements in the background. So I did a very short series of these paintings, and I thought that they were interesting because what I did was I limited the palette to just complementary colors. So that simplified things a lot. Then I just decided to use nature as a focal point. So I chose in this one to use a leopard. Using the complementary colors kept things really simple but very dynamic. So I ended up doing this as a class project with my painting group. All the paintings came out really dynamic just because of the complementary colors. So I thought I'd share it here on YouTube. So we're starting with nature-inspired subjects. But that can really mean anything. Birds, animals, fish, shells, feathers, insects, even a plant or a tree, seashells, anything that you love that's nature-based. These paintings don't need to be realistic or scientifically accurate. In fact, they become much more interesting when they feel more personal, expressive, or slightly abstracted. We already have cameras for realism. What we need more of is your own unique way of seeing and making marks. So in this first example, it's an acrylic painting on paper using coral reds and turquoise greens, and a complementary palette pushed into softer tints and darker shades using white and black. So the foliage and floral elements are more inspired by vintage textile and decorative imagery than direct observation from real plants. The world needs more quirky, unique art, not more department store pretty pictures. The world is waiting for what you make. Here I'm working in watercolor, but not in traditional watercolor. I'm working in Japanese Gansai, which comes in a bunch of really beautiful colors. Now I've chosen the complements yellow and violet, but I'm not limiting myself to one version of each color. I'm using a wide variety of each hue for interest and dimension. I'm using a cool lemon yellow, a warm cadmium, and even some of the earth tones, yellow ochre, raw sienna, and even a yellow brown. So I'm getting a huge variety of different yellow hues. So the same with the violets. I'm using a redder violet and a more blue violet. There's not a big variety in the Gansai, but I'm going to go in later with mixed media to liven up these colors and give myself more variety and more of a complementary pop. Using warmer yellows, cooler yellows, muted violets, and darker violets, and soft tints creates much more variety while still keeping the palette controlled. Here I'm using Gansai watercolor, which is Japanese watercolor, and it behaves a little differently than our traditional Western watercolor. These paints are creamier, more opaque, and incredibly rich in color, which makes them beautiful for expressive work and mixed media layering. Later on in this video, I'll be sharing some of the vintage references, books, and collected imagery I used to inspire these paintings, so stay tuned for that. When you're painting, try to stay open and curious, and try to think of these paintings as experiments rather than finished masterpieces. Stay open and focused on the process, and let go of the end result. This isn't about creating perfect portfolio-ready work. It's about exploration, experimentation, and learning to trust your process. Enjoy the process of painting. Painting is a mindfulness activity as well as a creative activity. So breathe, relax, and enjoy. And here, while it looks like I'm completing the painting, I'm actually just finishing the first layer. In the next segment, I'll be adding mixed media details. I'll be enhancing some of these colors so the details in the complementary pop really shines even more. So in the next part of this project, I'm using the Neocolor pastels by Crandash, which are one of my very favorite drawing and mark making tools. So I'm just using them to add some mark making. I'm accentuating some of the colors here. I'm adding some dimension. I'm not covering the entire piece with them. I'm just kind of bringing out some of the colors to add more of a complementary pop and to accent some of the areas. This is probably my favorite part of working on the piece because it feels really playful and really fun to do. And you can really see it come to life. And play is not careless or childish. It's the absence of obligation. So you can really allow yourself to just respond to what's underneath and really react to it with your colors and your marks and just really enjoy this process in this part of the process. Nothing you put down is wrong. And what we need more of is your own unique way of seeing and making marks. We already have cameras for realism, so we don't need everything to look like a picture that's been taken with a camera. We need your own unique vision and the way you see things and the way you make marks. That's really important. So here, I really wanted to exaggerate the complementary color vibrations and create more unexpected marks and edges in this piece, which is what I'm doing here. And you'll see how I'm going in and just adding a little bit more color, and I'm actually popping in some of the red violet hue into these leaves, and it just makes those marks that I'm putting in, makes the leaves pop out even more. One of the reasons I love mixed media so much is that it encourages response instead of perfection. When nothing has to be good, your hand can relax, decisions become quicker, and expression becomes more honest. I often work in a series because it removes the pressure from any one individual painting. Some paintings feel quiet, some awkward, some tense. All of them are valid. So I'm going to share some of the inspirations or where I find inspiration if I can't get out. Like a lot of times I live in nature. So I live on a rural property and I do love to get out in nature. I also do a lot of gardening and things. And I do have birds and wildlife that come right through my yard. But I love these field guides for butterflies, birds. There's lots of really great inspiration in these little books. You can get them at the library, or you can simply go online and there's a lot of these kind of references. These next two books are two of my favorites, the Bedside Book of Birds and the Bedside Book of Beasts. They're really cool books. They are full of vintage photographs and images taken from all different sources, lots of really cool old stories, poetry, and really interesting images. I just really love them. You can also be inspired by stories, poems, poetry, song lyrics, anything like that that just gets your mind going in a creative way. So don't discount any of those things. So yes, this is the bedside book of beasts, and it has so many great pictures and little stories and tales to tell. And now these, I drag these out a lot because I just love them so much. This is the whole seed catalog, and I buy these used usually on eBay or something. But if you never left the house, you could just paint out of these whole seed catalogs. They have so many beautiful reference pictures in here. If you're like an indoor cat and you don't like going outside, you could literally just paint out of these kind of books and references and field guides, and you'd never have to leave the house. I also love vintage fabrics and textiles, and I am very influenced by, these kind of patterns in my work. Very often I use, the influence of them. You don't have to buy fabric, though. You could always Google it or look it up on Pinterest if you'd like to use some of these images. Find what inspires you. Paint not to arrive somewhere, but to see what shows up.